the Footy Museum and the Footy Museum podcast. I am Justin Whitty. I'm so excited to do a podcast this week. It's been so long, and I'm joined by Maria Van Dykenlee, who coincidentally is also a co-director of the Footy Museum. Maria, welcome.
Thank you, Justin.
It's so nice to have a few minutes to talk about soccer.
It's always nice to talk about soccer with you.
I have an important question for you, Maria.
What would you like to ask?
What are you and Jeremy doing for Noche d'Or?
For what?
Noche d'Or. You don't know the long-standing soccer tradition of having the Ballon d'Or player come and play a meaningless friendly in front of fans who paid thousands of dollars to watch?
This isn't a real thing, right?
Yes, yes. You've never heard of it?
Is this a thing that happens every year?
So, Inter Miami, who is not in...
No, but please tell me, is this a thing that happens every year?
I don't think this has ever happened.
Okay.
So, Inter Miami, who are not in the playoffs, realizing they're losing millions of dollars by people not paying out of, emptying their bank accounts to watch Messi play, decided to hold an event to honor Messi's winning of the 8th Ballon d'Or, which does not mean Balloon d'Or, it means Golden Ball.
What?
And so on November 10th, which is in the midst of the MLS actual playoffs, they will be holding a friendly match against NYCFC, an event to honor Messi's victory, and it's called the Noche d'Or. They mixed two languages for a very special night, the Night of Gold. And tickets, pitch side, are already selling on the resale market for over $1,500.
So they're going to sell 5 tickets.
Yeah, they're not sold out yet, but it's just crazy. I did mention
Happy Noche d'Or to all who celebrate.
To all those who celebrate, the Footy Museum wishes you a happy Noche d'Or.
We got to
you and
make
yours.
that up, both.
Wishing you and yours a happy Noche d'Or. To those who celebrate, and to those who are not part of the Noche d'Or but stuck in the sad MLS playoffs, we are still in the first round. Only one team has guaranteed their spot to the semifinals, and that is Cincinnati. Have you watched any of the MLS playoffs?
I'm sorry to say that I have not caught any games thus far.
Well, I would say, there's a lot of controversy because this year they moved from all elimination games last few years to where the first round is 3-game series. The idea being the best team would have a chance to prove itself. Now, MLS has had a lot of different...
The idea being that Miami would make it.
Yes, the idea being there'd be multiple Messi games, but then there wouldn't be a Noche d'Or.
Oh, there wouldn't be a Noche d'Or.
So people are confused. MLS has played around with different 3-game formats at different times. And they changed their format quite a bit. Some might say we change our setting of our podcast recording quite a bit. I don't know if anyone's noticed. We're in a new bunker location. And I have to say the first round games didn't really have that urgency. Last night was the second round game. So meaning the team that had lost the first game could be out of the playoffs if they didn't win. And there was a little more urgency, exciting game. The most exciting was the Cincinnati Red Bull game. Red Bull, New York play like a bunch of high school thugs, just heavy tackles.
We love to see it.
In front of what I loved, that it's
Red Bull.
This is exactly what Apple wants when the announcer at the beginning of the game said, Red Bull Stadium's bumping. We're expecting a massive crowd of 17,000. I think that stadium holds 40,000. So it was only a half full stadium, but it was good energy. But like I said, really nasty fouls coming in. Red Bull went up until toward the end of the game. Cincinnati tied, and at the very death, it looked like they had won off an Olympico from the corner. But the goal was VAR'd off because it was deemed that Cincinnati players had blocked the Red Bull goalie. So they went to penalties, where they went 10 rounds, and Cincinnati ultimately won. And one thing that stood up. Well, it's just like Leagues Cup. They haven't played that extra time, so I think they have much more energy. So there's just a higher goal percentage of them going in. In extra time, Matt Miazga, the former Red Bull player, former Chelsea player, former U.S. men's national team player, and renowned hothead, got an argument with the referee about a call and got a yellow card. And then after he scored his penalty, kind of mockingly blew kisses and hearts for a very extended period of time. to the Red Bull crowd and received another yellow card. But he wasn't ejected because it's deemed a separate area. So I guess if you get a yellow card in penalties, you don't automatically get a red card. Hello? We're down here recording. We'll be right up, okay? Okay? So he got a second yellow, but it does count towards a yellow card accumulation. So he's going to miss the semifinals just because he was being kind of an adolescent. But it also bugged me because I realized that's the kind of player I was. Like, could not separate myself. Although I was in high schooler, I was not a professional.
Well, I can see it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, Maria, what kind of player were you? Were you a really helpful player on the field, on the pitch?
I contributed my own way.
Oh yeah, how so?
I think I defined my playing style early on, when I would teach my fellow teammates how to tie their laces during gameplay on the pitch.
Oh,
yeah, that's the kind of player I was.
I could see that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the only controversy this weekend. Do you know what we're looking at here?
Oh, we are looking at...
I feel like we've seen this before. What are we looking at?
Oh, I'm having flashbacks. This is from the Arsenal-Newcastle game, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So Arsenal-Newcastle tied through most of the game. Towards the end, a ball that goes past the painted lines on the field, out of bounds, is then kicked in towards the box where there are several fouls, possible handball too. Is that right? I don't know.
There's everything.
I think that there was like a knifing. There was credit card
I think
theft.
someone kissed the ref.
There was a ref. Someone dug a hole and buried.
Somebody was tying their laces.
The possum from the LSU game or whatever that was came on. Anyway, there was a lot of what seemed to be fouls and penalties. And they went through 3 separate VAR checks, and somehow the goal stood and Arsenal lost. And after the game,
first loss, right?
Yeah, first loss. Mikel Arteta did not hold back. Said the entire refereeing organization in England was an embarrassment to the league.
Oh my gosh.
That this is the top league in the world, that they should have refereeing of that level. The Arsenal team backed up his statements, and there's a lot of hubbub about this. This is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, I feel like this whole accuracy of reffing is a conversation that's happening like every week, right?
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to use if you're going to use VAR to be overly precise and calling back a lot of goals because of offsides, like if someone's knees just slightly passed, then there's an expectation that it's always perfect. But there's been glaring issues where the interpretation of what is pretty clear evidence has been flawed, and there's been real world soccer world consequences. Teams have gotten losses that didn't deserve them. So I think there needs to be a restructuring, but I'm not quite sure what that is, which is hard because a lot of people are asking me to solve it. And I need to come on. And maybe,
that's why I knocked on your door begging, Justin, please tell me you have a solution.
Maybe that's
to
the problem.
Faults of VAR.
Maybe that's the problem. So that happened. But we're here this week to talk about a different competition. It is the Europa League. It is a wonderful competition for teams who did not make it into the Champions League, but you get a wide variety of smaller, more obscure clubs from places you never hear about or didn't know existed. I mean, you also get some pretty great crests, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Clubs that are pretty good.
Pretty good.
Not the best, pretty good.
We each picked one to talk about. Now, before I start, I do want to highlight some of my absolute favorites are in this competition. Villarreal, Marseille, USG. These are all, in my mind, just absolutely
Crests
gorgeous.
that are almost too good to even talk about.
Like, no, I'm not. I just want to share them. Like,
they're just beautiful.
Let's just be silent for a moment and take these in. Good design. I love it. Speaking of good design, the one I did choose is Football Club Sheriff. And this one stood out not because of its fantastic collage graphic design, but I was just curious why there was an American Western style sheriff badge participating in the Europa League. And I wondered, was there a Texas high school team that had somehow qualified?
You hear a lot about Texas high school teams playing in Europe.
Oh yeah, that's big. It's big soccer country down there.
Yeah.
Texas. But no, this is actually the FC Sheriff Tiraspol. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. Is the team based in the city of Tiraspol, which is in the unrecognized state of Transnistria. Here's the flag of the town, Tiraspol. Pretty cool flag.
It looks like a cake.
Very prominent. It's more of a river, which I think
it's
is
making me hungry.
important. Wow, we've only barely been here. Which is a river, which is important because Transnistria is an unrecognized state that exists between the river Dniester and the Moldovan-Ukrainian border. So basically, it's just the riverbed area. It is a country of 158,000. It is only recognized by 3 other countries. Here you see it. That little sliver there is what we're talking about. And so this is where
it's just a riverbed.
It's an interesting place. Here we see the FC Sheriff Stadium. And it turns out that crest wasn't something uniquely designed, but it is the logo for the only commercial enterprise in the entire nation.
What?
They run the supermarkets, the gas stations, or the unrecognized state of Transnistria. They run the supermarkets, they run telecommunications, and it is a company founded by 2 former KGB agents.
Are you serious?
Now, yes. So this country, like a lot of countries in that part of the world, was formed after the fall of the Soviet Union. And it kind of separated from Moldova because it didn't like the laws and changes Moldova was doing to change the culture, specifically to get rid of Russian language. The people of Transnistria were largely Ukrainian Russian background, and they felt that heritage wasn't being honored. So they wanted to separate. Coincidentally, they also eventually began to house Russian soldiers. They are on the border of Ukraine.
Of course, yes, they are.
And that might also make sense why 2 former KGB agents have such a kind of stranglehold on the market. So it's kind of a KGB oligarchian situation over there. And
they love John Wayne.
Yeah, Sheriff their logo. So you don't just see it with the soccer team, but you see it on businesses all over this bizarre, I don't want to say bizarre, I've never been there, unusual to my understanding of how places work.
It's unusual as an unrecognized state. It's unusual as in
its size.
The particular leadership.
There's one commercial entity that owns the soccer team. Here is the FC, or just the sheriff grocery store. So you would see it everywhere. But they do play in the Moldovan Super League, and FC Sheriff Tiraspol are actually regularly represented in Europa League and have done pretty well. They've done pretty well. They're probably well funded by this monopoly,
by this grocery store,
oligarchian enterprise. So kind of an interesting peek. And honestly, of all the unrecognized states in the world, I had not heard of
I've never heard of this one either.
No.
You'd think you'd hear a lot about it.
No. There's 1 Nistria, 2 Nistria, and now I know Transnistria. Okay.
I like you know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
When I was growing up, outside my bedroom window, there was, so that like you could see, there was like between my house and the busy street, 28th Street, there was like 100 yards of trees and stuff,
really?
But through the trees.
Yes.
Every night, after it got dark, you could see the sheriff's badge neon light from the Texas Roadhouse on 28th Street, where you could throw peanuts on the floor. And there it shone. Wow. As I fell asleep, I could see it through the trees.
Beautiful story from days gone by. Speaking of Grand Rapids, you notice my shirt today? This is from Grand Rapids. This is where I learned about hot dogs. I won't comment on the hot dogs now, but it's in my old neighborhood where I did not see stars like FC Sheriff Churchill. I don't
You
have
just
those
had to
quaint
eat
stories.
really soggy hot
Just had
dogs.
some, make it wet yesterday. So you chose a different team.
Oh, I
You wanna
did.
tell us about
I
this?
chose Sport Club Sturm Graz. That's an Austrian team, play in the Austrian Bundesliga. They've been around since 1909, a very old team. And what caught my eye about this is, in particular, one, I love a black and white stripe.
Yeah. Do you want to describe what this looks
Yes.
like? Yeah.
So we're looking at an old-timey photo of the team that looks like it came out of a Charlie Chaplin film. And some really,
With the really wide, there's some deep, those are deep cut
some
jerseys like below the
deep
nipple.
V's.
Yeah.
Deep V's, like pirate level deep V. And these
skin
shirts,
tight. Holy cow.
they're skin tight and they go like past the hip. It creates a real hourglass shape on these guys.
Graz,
Yeah.
Some grazzle dazzle.
Little white shorts. It's a look. Next to like dudes in bowler hats. You'd think it was just
If anyone's
staged.
listening, wondering why we're so loopy. We recorded the entire episode and then we had major audio problems. So this is round 2. So we're we're bouncing a little bit. Okay.
It's better this way.
And what's the logo?
So picture like a simplified American flag in black and white.
Yeah.
But the
With the
blue
blue line through the middle of it. No? Okay.
What?
Carry
A
on.
blue line through the
I'm
middle?
sorry.
What are you talking about?
Those blue line flags. They're black and white.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
We speak not.
Yes.
Anyways, black and oh, I see what you're saying now. No. Just
So just black and white.
it's just black and white. There's no
And there's like a ST in the
and
upper
so
square.
the blue and the stars, the little corner with the stars.
Where the stars would be in the
American
American flag.
It's just a white square and it's got a monogram ST,
Right.
which is Sturm.
Strum.
And that means storm in German, by the
Yeah.
way.
So
it's,
this is the team where the Romanian from the Goblet of Fire played on.
no, that's Durmstrang, and they're from
okay.
Germany.
Yeah, my bad. Okay.
So it's what I think with older teams like this, what I would expect is that the first crest of the town would be like a municipality symbol or crest, because that's the way it normally goes. But these guys, they just had this flag right from the start. Like the flag caught my eye, and then I was like, oh wow, it's an old design, and that design sticks with them. Through their history here, I have an image of
Great tifo.
a great tifo.
It's kind of a sunset with the crest in the middle, radiating lines, and then it looks like there is flares and smoke
behind. It's like
behind
lit
it.
from behind. It's beautiful.
Very nice, yeah.
And then on the right, some old timey fans with an umbrella.
It's a black and white picture, so I don't pay any attention to it.
Okay. And here I have all of the logos. So you'll notice here
So we're looking at the evolution of the logo.
the evolution of logos since 1909. So it's over 100 years of history.
Oh my
and
God.
one thing that starts
What
to happen.
happened in the 90s?
Well, I think first we need to address what happened in the 70s.
That's true.
Because what I have never seen before is this is the flag is still present
Central. Yeah.
in the logo, but it's surrounded by 2 concentric circles with green. So now it's inside of another badge. The name has changed slightly, and there's another logo within the logo, a small circle at the bottom of the crest, and that's because they changed their name to reflect the sponsor of the team.
So they actually incorporated the sponsor name into the team name.
Yeah, they
That's
do
crazy. So it went from SK Sturm Graz to SK Rijka Sturm, which was like
It's a banking
bank.
thing, yeah. So
and then Adabal Fenster SK Sturm, and then Punta Gomer SK Sturm.
yeah.
Oh wow.
So they actually
Okay.
incorporate the sponsor as time goes on. They'll change
And
the
then
team name officially
the
to
Footy
reflect that.
Museum SK Sturm.
Yeah, that's next year's Crest. You got ahead of me.
I'm sorry.
It doesn't take much to become a sponsor. So I've never seen corporate
Well, this first one you're
sponsorship
showing,
reflected
it's
in
not
an ownership
too
like this.
bad.
No, but then
so that's the
this
one
is from
where
the
it's a
70s.
circle. It's the black and white flag on a green circle, and it's the Rijka Strum with just a
and not
symbol
much
of
has
the bank.
changed. Yeah.
But
so
then,
then we get to the 90s.
oh boy,
Then we get to the 90s, and it's not even the sponsorship just taking over. It is the president of the club wanted to modernize, and he modernized. He abandoned the flag entirely, and what was created looks startlingly like the Seattle Sounders' old crest.
Very like early MLS.
So MLS,
style. Yeah.
so of the time, like copy paste. Like it is a green shield shape with a bold banner across the middle with SK Sturm, and atop of that there's the sponsor, corporate sponsor. Right. But then the ball.
Yes.
The ball is a 90s ball, but it has motion blur lines
flying.
Coming out of it.
It's not only moving across, but from the distance to the foreground. It's dynamic.
It's so dynamic.
Soccer.
It is
a soccer badge.
They started playing soccer that year in Austria.
Very much like the Sounders.
Very much. So sure. People didn't like that very much. They didn't like that they got rid of the flag. The fans petitioned to get the flag back. So eventually in 2007, they did bring the flag back, but they did not get rid of the old logo.
Oh, no.
They just copy and paste it to the right of the old logo. It's just on there now. It's just 2 for 1.
This was like a late night. Oh, yeah, I can solve it. No problem. I'll make a new.
You want the flag? You want the flag?
Yeah, I can do
Here's
that.
The flag.
How do you like it? It's giant now. Your crest is giant. Are you happy, you Sturm heads?
They weren't happy. They weren't happy one bit.
What's wrong, Sturmies?
So for their 100th anniversary, they took the opportunity.
This looks nice.
To correct the mistake. So for their 100th anniversary,
it's a real classic.
They took the flag, they put it into concentric circles again, which are meant to represent the famous clock tower clock that's in the city. And then they added some laurels. And of course, they had to add their corporate sponsor, Puntgammer.
The Puntgammer SK Sturm Graz. You said based on the clock tower, and we're looking at a picture of what looks like just the top third of a clock tower. So that's the clock tower in question?
Yeah, a perfectly fine clock tower.
Is that why?
It's perfectly fine.
Is that why when you want to call someone short, you call them an Austrian clock tower?
I don't know. I don't speak German.
I've told that joke tonight. You're such an Austrian clock tower. How dare you?
Don't you dare call me that.
How dare you, sir? Okay. No, this is classic. Even with the Puntgammer is more integrated, and the angle of the flag. So it's nice that they returned.
And then the fans did do some action to petition to get the corporate sponsor removed from the official emblem, which I like because it'd be like the Bud Light Chicago Fires, you know?
Hey, if it meant winning, I would take it. I would be like, yes, let's go Bud Light FC. I don't know. Wrong example. If it was like, let's see. Herod's Chelsea or something like that.
I know it's Herod's Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean, like
or the LA Dodgers present Chelsea, which is kind of what it is.
Yes, the San Francisco 49ers present Leeds United.
Well, this is a great one.
Except for even then, those are the owners, not the sponsors. This is a sponsor.
Oh,
yeah.
So it'd be like Bet365.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that looks great.
They're pretty cool, except for the 90s and the 2000s. Dark days.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that the 40s are missing, and I still refer to the 90s and 2000s as the dark days.
So there is another team in the Europa League that I wanted to just mention. Maccabi Haifa FC. This is an Israeli professional football team. And up until I found articles even from October 3rd about how this team was a real symbol of peace and unity in the region because the squad had Palestinian, Arab, Israeli players, and the largely Israeli fan base was very supportive of all of them. Well, obviously on October 7th, after the Hamas terrorist attacks and then the subsequent kind of aggressive bombing of Gaza that's continues to go on by Israel, and all the kind of pain and loss on both sides of that conflict, that tension is obviously filtered into the team as well. And when the bombing first started, the star player on the team, who is a Palestinian Israeli, his wife posted something to the effect, that our children in Gaza too. And because it's such a polarized time and people's loss and pain is so fresh, everything is absolute around this issue, right? So a lot of the Israeli fans were demanding that she apologize, that he explain why she didn't come out and condemn Hamas. There's calls for him to leave the team. There's still a lot of pressure for him to leave the team. Meanwhile, other Palestinian and Arab players are being asked to make public apologies or condemnations of Hamas, a group they have nothing to do with. And it's really, we talk a lot in a lot of these Crest deep dives we've done, how much history of the world has overlapped with these clubs and how it's reflected in the fan base and the stories of the clubs. And it's really heartbreaking to see that happening in real time.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to these players as they try to compete in this competition and in all competitions. But it also made me think of this picture from the New York Times, which is one of many I've noticed of Palestinians digging through the rubble of an area of Gaza after it was bombed. And you'll see usually young men dressed in soccer jerseys. And it makes sense, right? Because the soccer jersey is so ubiquitous in the world because the sport has reached every corner of the world. But it's so jarring to see someone don the jersey of a player they look to as an aspirational figure, of a team they look to for a moment of escape from their lives of hope, in amongst such complete chaos and destruction. So you're familiar with the Christmas Day truce? Famous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Christmas Day truce, famously in the first few months, I think it's the fourth month into World War I, German and English troops were entrenched across a no man's land from each other near Flanders, Belgium. And on Christmas morning, the German troops started calling to the English in English, saying they wanted to come out, and they came out of their trenches unarmed. And the two sides came out and met, and they exchanged gifts and chocolate, sang songs, and famously played soccer. And that story, like numerous games of soccer, that story is often used as an example of the kind of beautiful unifying power of this sport, or all sport really. Because it was this pause of battle, this chance to see the humanity in the other side. And when I see this picture, which is a young man in a Ronaldo jersey in the rubble of Gaza, I know that it was taken at a time that all the major leagues, football leagues around the world, are playing right now. We have the Europa League, we have Championship League, and they continue to move on. And in fact, a lot of leagues like the English Premier League have outlawed any symbol of the Israeli or Palestinian flag out of fear of retribution. And I can't help but think of the contrast, how there's that story of this ideal of the game bringing people together, but this moment it seems to be a screen covering what continues to go on. And it's also made me think about, in the last few weeks, there's been a lot of outpouring of grief for the loss of the great Manchester United England player, Bobby Charlton, and which is justified, because when you are a fan of the sport, you create memories, you create connections with people, places, and moments. And the figures who are pivotal to those memories leave a gap when they leave, because it's like part of your memory is gone. But on the other side, I think about all these fans, like this gentleman in this picture, young fans, older fans who have found moments of joy in the game, who perhaps were incredibly talented at the game, and who are maybe the future of the game, who are just completely decimated on both sides of the border, in Israel and in Palestine. And we don't know that history. So as the football world took so much time to honor this figure of its past, I would hope that we also are aware of a future that we're losing, and that while it's great, we should enjoy these games. It is a great time to come together. Let's not allow it to become a screen that hides us from what's going on in the world, and the loss that we're all experiencing, that the game doesn't even realize it's experiencing. I think the only real player that I know of has spoken out is Salah from Liverpool. because I think people are so afraid to say anything
Yeah, you
because
can't
it's
say
so
anything.
polarized. The sides are so understandably wounded. And yet, today I was reading a quote, Obama was talking about it. And he recognized that kind of stasis because of the pain on both sides. But the problem is there are still children dying, and we need to get to a point where we just stop the kids from dying. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting. We talk about the game a lot as a lens of society. And when you look at the Europa League, I can't imagine, like I said, the players of that team continuing on as fans, and I wish them the best. And I hope they can come back to a point where those players and fans accept each other and experience that joy together, and that the same sort of attention and focus that we put on a ball that maybe was over an imaginary line or not, we can put on what's going on there. So
Yeah.
I just wanted, thanks. Let me take a moment.
Yeah, thanks
to
for
say
saying that. That's well said.
Is there anything you're looking forward to this week?
Always.
What's that?
Always. I'm always looking forward to
the next Leeds
the
victory.
next Leeds victory.
Oh,
They're good now.
I know, it's amazing.
It's a
phenomenal.
new team. Yeah.
Oh. Well, like I said, we've recorded this episode twice. So as we say, from one Austrian clock tower to another. Goodbye.
Ding dong.
Ding dong. All right. Should I hit record?